Hey everybody, it's Keegan here. I'm back with another video for you guys, and it's time for another vlog video. This is going to be vlog number 81, and today it is Monday, October 28th, 2024, and the time right now it is 1:09 p.m. Now, for today's vlog, I decided to do a vlog video where we talk about thrift stores, more specifically, my pet peeves with thrift stores. Now, don't get me wrong, I like going to thrift stores. I go to thrift stores at least two, three, sometimes more times a month. As a matter of fact, I was at a thrift store yesterday after I cleaned out my room going through some clothes that I didn't need anymore, which I donated to the thrift store. And there's a lot of things to like about thrift stores. You can get stuff like clothes, home stuff, like appliances, video games, movies, and shit like that for a low price. Hell, you can even find some hard to find DVDs and stuff at thrift stores as well. While there's a lot of positives with thrift stores, in this video we're going to be going through some of my pet peeves with thrift stores. Now, it should be noted this video is not meant to bash any thrift stores or secondhand stores of any kind. This is just me going through some of my criticisms and pet peeves with thrift stores. And another thing is, this is mostly going to be related to things related to physical media and based on my experiences of with thrift stores. And everybody has a different experience with thrift stores. But yep. So that's all about I gotta say. So let's just get right into it. My first pet peeve with thrift stores, and I know this might seem like a bit of an odd one to put in this video, but my first pet peeve with thrift stores is when they sell used undergarments like underwear and stuff. Now, this is only at some of the thrift stores that I've been to, but why would you want to sell your underwear at a thrift store? Like, if it's used, like, that's disgusting. Like, why the hell would you want to sell your underwear at a thrift store? Unless if it's a brand new unused pair of underwear, then that's okay, I guess. But if you sell your used underwear at a thrift store, that's just nasty, and it's just weird. Like, why would you want to do that? Again, like I said, this isn't every thrift store that does this, but this is only some of the ones that I've been to. I noticed this at the thrift store that I went to yesterday, but it's just weird. But if it's like a brand new pair of underwear that hasn't been used, then that's fine, I guess. But used, that's just, that's gross. Another issue I have with thrift stores, now this isn't every single thrift store, but this is some of the ones that I go to. Specifically, Value Village is where they don't have regular checkouts. They just have the self checkouts for like when you want to pay for something when you're getting ready to leave. Now, I don't mind self checkout machines. They're just easy to do and it just saves you time if you just pay it yourself, but there are some issues that I have with it. For example, sometimes the machine might go out of order, which that happens. Sometimes things just go out of order and you just got to use something else, use the next machine or something, but it happens all the time. But what kind of bothers me is that most of the time they don't take cash. They just either take debit or credit cards, which is kind of what these machines are made for. But yeah. And another thing is, sometimes if you scan the wrong barcode by accident, like you don't scan the sticker barcode, but instead scan the barcode on, say, like the barcode that was on like a DVD case, it won't work anymore unless someone comes in and just fixes it. Like, that can get annoying sometimes. And what's with stores like Value Village removing regular checkouts and just putting self checkouts? Like, I mean, come on, that's cutting off jobs for some people. And some people rely working as cashier, and you got self checkout machines replacing those jobs. But again, I don't mind self checkout machines. I prefer regular checkouts. That's it. Another issue I have with thrift stores, and I know this is another minor issue, is that where some stuff doesn't have the price tag on it and you're not sure how much it's worth. Now, this happens a lot with me. Usually when I buy something in the physical media section of a thrift store. But if I'm buying like a VHS, it's usually like $1 or $2, and if it's like a DVD, it's usually $2 or $3, and if it's a Blu-ray, it's usually $5. Like, so, but the thing is though, sometimes you're not going to know how much it's worth, and you go up and pay, and it might be expensive. Specifically, if it's like a piece of vintage clothing or furniture or anything like that, those can be pricey. But it bothers me sometimes when they don't have the price tag on certain stuff and you don't know how much it's worth. But of course, the simple answer to that is if you go ask the nearest employee to see how much it's worth. Worst case scenario is that if it's something that like something was stolen and placed in the store. Not sure how often that happens, but that could be a possibility. But you never know. Something could be stolen and just placed in the store on purpose. Not a huge deal for me with things don't have a price tag on it, but it is something that can be annoying sometimes with going to thrift stores. Another issue I have with thrift stores, and this is a big one for me, is when some objects are not, some things, say like electronics or games or something like that, is not properly inspected. Now, this doesn't happen very often with me when it comes to electronics, but I hear stories about some people buying something from a thrift store that's like electronic, like a TV or video game console or anything like that, that was not tested and turns out to being something that doesn't work. For example, I heard a story of somebody buying a PSP from a thrift store. It wasn't tested, and when they brought it home, it turned out the PSP was bricked and it would not work at all. But that doesn't happen to me because I don't really buy very much electronics at a thrift store. But when it comes to buying DVDs or Blu-rays, this happens all the time. Sometimes you'll come across a DVD that doesn't even have the disc inside the case, or maybe it has the wrong disc of maybe a different movie or something. Like stuff like that, where I come across a game or a movie that doesn't have the disc inside its case. It happens a lot. It happens to me all the time whenever I go to a thrift store. It happens at least once or twice I come across something like this. And sometimes you don't even have the right movie or game inside the case at all. For example, the other day when I was at the thrift store, I came across a game for I believe it was the Xbox 360. I can't remember, and I can't remember what game it was. And I opened up the case, and it turns out it was the wrong game and wrong platform at all. It was actually Battlefield 3, the PS3 version inside the case. It's just like, come on. Like, do the employees bother to check the cases or the electronics to see if they work or if the games or movies are in the right case? And do they even check if it's a legit and not a bootleg or anything? But bootlegs are a thing that's a lot common in thrift stores than you think. Well, based on my experiences, you'll come across some bootlegs. I don't buy bootlegs. I'm not that kind of person. I'd rather buy a legit DVD, Blu-ray, and stuff like that. I know it's a bit a different subject, but that's another thing. You'll come across a lot of bootleg stuff all the time in thrift stores. Well, at least I do, at least. I'd rather just buy the legit stuff, like the real deal. One of the things that annoys me with the clothing sections of thrift stores is when they're organized by color and not by size. Like they organize them by some of them organized by different colors and not by the sizes. Say you come across, say, a gray blazer that's size medium, and then you see the next one that's size small. I know this, not every thrift store does this, but there's some, for whatever reason, they feel the need to organize some of the clothes by color and not by size. Like, organize it from sizes small to extra large and not in order by color. It's not common to see it's not very common to see something like this in thrift stores, but I've heard stories where something like this happens in some thrift stores. One of the thrift stores in my area that I've been to did that for a while for whatever reason, but then they stopped it thankfully. But it gets a bit tedious when there are stores that just organize some of the clothes by color and not by size. I mean, it's kind of nice organizing it by color, but can you please just organize them all by size and the color by size and not do it like in a different sizes and stuff? Like that's just repetitive and it's just kind of dumb. Another thing that really irritates me about thrift stores, well, some of the ones that I go to are completely unorganized. I'm not saying all of the ones that I've been to are unorganized, but some of the ones I go to are really unorganized. It's like it's like a mess going through some of the sections and seeing some things that are not placed properly. Maybe it's because it was a customer that put something there that they decide they didn't need anymore, or maybe staff just puts them there on purpose. Like, come on, just get your shit together and get some of it reorganized. And another thing is how disgusting some of the stuff that gets donated is, like how dirty some of the stuff is. Not just clothes, but some stuff in general. It's like you never know when some stuff has been disinfected or anything before they were donated. I'm not trying to sound like a germaphobe or anything, but could you have some like common courtesy to just clean the stuff you donate, or at least clean whatever's been donated before you put it on the store, before you put it on the shelves? You never know what could be on the stuff that gets donated, especially with clothes. Some people don't bother to clean their clothes they donate to thrift stores before they even bother to donate it. And sometimes you'll see some stains on some clothes. Some of it might not come out. Say stuff like oil, tar, and that kind of stuff. That kind of stuff will never come off of clothes. Especially with white clothes, you'll see like sweat, some mustard stains and stuff like that that might are hard to come off. That's the thing with some white colored clothes. They have once they get stained, some of them might be nearly impossible to take off unless you know how to wash them off right. It's just it gets kind of gross sometimes. You'll see some stuff that clearly hasn't been cleaned before they were donated or before they were even cleaned by the staff to before they were even put on the shelves. But yeah, it gets kind of gross at times. I'm not sure if putting this next one in is really a thing to complain about. It's a lot common in a lot of public places every day, and I'm sure we can all agree it does get annoying, but I decided to put it in anyways. A thing that does get annoying about thrift stores is not the employees themselves, but it's when there's parents of like really small children where the children are running around screaming, crying, and all this other stuff. Like, I mean, it's common. It happens everywhere in every public place, like everyday places. Like, I mean, and I can understand the parents struggle with that stuff. While I'm not a parent myself and I don't have any kids of my own, but I can totally understand the parents struggle with trying to have their kids behave in public, especially those with like toddlers who won't stay seated in the cart or stroller or anything like that. But can you at least just try to keep your kids under control, like if when they misbehave out in public? Like, there's nothing wrong with like bringing your kids out to stores and stuff, but they got to learn to behave themselves in the store. But it happens all the time, and just sometimes you just might lose control over it, like when your kids start acting bad in public. But it's a very common thing that happens every day in public, but it does tend to get on your nerves. And it gets on my nerves sometimes, but hey, I got to remember these are young kids. They're just learning to behave themselves, and sometimes we all misbehave like that. Hell, I remember I would misbehave like that when I was younger, but I wasn't like some of these younger toddlers like when I was that age. Again, not a huge thingy to complain about. It's more common in public. It's common, but it does get annoying sometimes. And the last thing that annoys me about thrift stores is when people hog up a section of a display, like looking at something like a little too close and not giving enough space for other people to have a look. I mean, whenever I look at something like the DVD section or stuff, I try not to stand too close. I try to have a good enough distance to see what I can find while giving enough space for anybody standing near me to have a look too. But of course, there are some people who hog up the section, taking a longer time to look when they stand too close, and it makes it harder for you to see what's on the shelf. And that can get annoying, especially if the person is kind of rude. Well, it all depends on what kind of person they are. Whether they're a nice person, they'll just give enough space for you to have a look at too. And there's just some people that are just rude that just won't let you have a look. And sometimes they'll just be there for a little while. But I guess you just gotta have patience. That's all. But for me, I always try to not get too close. Just have a little look and try to give enough space to let some other people have a look. But yeah, those are pretty much all the pet peeves that I have with thrift stores, at least the ones that I could think of for this video. But thank you guys for watching this video. If you enjoyed the video, as always, feel free to leave a like, leave a comment below, and subscribe for more videos like this. And what are some of your guys' pet peeves with thrift stores? Let me know in the comment section below. But thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys have a great day. And until next time, this is Keegan Shepard signing off. Thanks for watching. And I'll see you guys in the next one. And yeah, take care, everybody. Peace out. Bye-bye.